Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And today we're going to have a few moments just to think about finding our inner peace, how to increase the amount of peace that we feel. And I don't know about the rest of you, but just even talking about it helps me feel more peaceful. How about you? For those of you who are in the chat room, welcome. And for those of you who are watching in the background, a really big welcome. I know a lot of you tell me that you listen to me while you're doing other chores and things. So a very warm welcome to you. And boy, you're looking good today. And then for those of you who may watch this on the replay, hopefully this will help you find some inner peace today. Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you as well. Big thanks to Jeannie, who is standing in as our admin today because Jody, unfortunately, had an appointment that she couldn't shift from a Friday, and you know she tried. So we wish Jody all the best with her specialist appointment, but we'll hopefully see her tonight. So really good to see everybody, and hopefully you will all enjoy a moment of peace and quiet. And you know, what that requires is that we stay in the moment, all right? That for the next little while, just forget about the housework, forget about the to-do list, forget about everything, except just take the time to be at peace. And you will be absolutely amazed if you can turn everything else off, just how peaceful you can be and how good it is for your health. For those of you who are long-time viewers, I needed to just update you. I spoke with, or spoke with text Sharon this week, and she's okay. Manon is doing well, and so is Erin. I managed to touch base with all three of them this week. So just, I know that some of you go way back to those names, and you would want to know that they're doing fine. Just so we know, yeah, Charlotte's saying it's fun to be alone with yourself, but not lonely. So true. And also to be a human being, not a human doing. So that is important. Um, Eckhart Tolle said, most humans are never fully present in the now because unconsciously they believe that the next moment must be more important than this one. But then you miss your whole life, which is never not now. So just be at peace right now. We know that June 9 is a magical day for Jody. It is the day that she celebrates being cancer free. And if my calculation is right, I think she's 8 years cancer free on the 9th. It's Anna Marie's birthday. And also, Jeannie, I was noticing that you had your kidney surgery a year ago. So hopefully that's all calmed down. And for those of you who know the name Chloe, it is her birthday on the 11th. So if you are a regular viewer or listener, and when I say regular, that maybe you do listen in the background, but you don't necessarily make yourself known on the chat. Please make sure we know of your birthday or an important anniversary for you so that we can add it to our database. So control your peace. Charlotte, maybe I can bounce off you for a second because you are somebody that I know has learned to control your peace. Because the person I met some years ago um, was not at peace with anything or anybody. And so I sense that part of what brought you peace was the time you spent alone with yourself while you were, on your 365 days of the year walking. Um, you know, what was it for you that helped you find your inner peace? I do understand that it's different things for different people. In past broadcasts, we've talked about people's faith bring them peace. Meditation brings them peace. Exercise brings some people peace. So just it's important to know that different things for different people. Jeannie's giving such thanks, kind thanks to her good and kind doctors that helped her through her surgery last year. So that's awesome. Always grateful, Jeannie. I love that. It is said it's important to realize deeply that the present moment is all that you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. You know, I read a story once, and I can't remember where it was or in what book it was, so I can't give a credit to it. But it was a story about a guy whose neighbor had this absolutely magnificent lawn. I have a feeling that it's probably the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, something like that. Anyway, but what this guy noticed was that his neighbor had this incredibly beautiful lawn. And so rather than be jealous of it, he decided to go and investigate how did he get such a beautiful lawn. And what he did was he went over and introduced himself and said, I've just moved into the neighborhood and I noticed you've got the most beautiful lawn on the block. And I just wondered if you could tell me how you do it. And the neighbor said, well, good to meet you, John. And yeah, it would be my pleasure. And the first thing you do is you start 20 years ago. And I thought that is so true of so many things in life, isn't it? If only we'd known this 20 years ago, we would have a beautiful life right now. But we don't, and we forget, and we lose track of how important just staying in the now is. And so I thought what I'd do is I'd tell you about my day yesterday, where I managed to do pretty well of staying in the moment for the whole day. And it had such a great effect on me, even though it was one of the busiest days. Yeah, Jeannie's adding, you may need to start 20 years ago, but it's never too late to start. Yeah, exactly. And that is what we're all about, right? Is just remind ourselves every week it's never too late to start. So I had a lot of balls in the air yesterday. Thursdays are always busy for me because I'm prepping to do this broadcast, tonight's broadcast, and start thinking about Sunday's broadcast. So they're always a busy day of thinking. But I also had an appointment yesterday to meet possibly my new gardener. And then I also had the added distraction. I'm a big tennis fan of the Grand Slam tennis tournaments. And it is time of year where at the moment they're playing in Paris. And, it's just like, but that's in Europe. And so to be able to watch that, I've got to be up in the middle of the night, which of course I will do because I can. But that really messes up your sleep pattern. So what you need to do is to make sure that you've compensated for it in some other way. And so what I wanted to do was to talk about how did I manage all that chaos in one day. And I don't know about you, but just even talking about it feels a bit stressful until I remember, no, it wasn't stressful at all. All right, how about this one? The Dalai Lama said, there are only 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, to believe, to do, and mostly to live. And I would say that yesterday I decided I was going to live. And I was going to live in the moment and not stress out about anything. And so knowing that the Grand Slam tournament in Paris started at 3 a.m., I went to bed knowing that I would set my alarm for 3 a.m. so I could start watching the tennis. Now, some of you are saying, yes, but isn't there a replay? Yeah, but it's not the same. But I've learned a new trick. I'm a night owl. So here is what I've learned to stay in peace and get to see most of what I want to see. I'm already somebody that doesn't go to sleep much before 3 o'clock anyway. And so all I do is I stay up that little bit extra and I watch the first part of the tennis. And either it's a fascinating game, in which case I will stay awake, or it'll be pretty monotonous and the gentle noise of dung, 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 dung as they bet the ball backwards and forwards will just have what I call a soporific effect. I love that word, soporific. It means that it will lull you to sleep. And it's just like counting sheep, boom, 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 boom. And some of those rallies are long, and I can assure you they can send me fast asleep if that's the way that it is. So, and I give myself permission to do that. It's just like it's okay to be up, but it's also okay to fall asleep if your body would rather do that. But here's what I know, you see, because this is what gives me peace of mind. If the game gets really interesting, the crowd noise will increase. And because I fell asleep with the television on, the crowd noise will wake me up when there's exciting stuff going on. I call that the ultimate. This is like have your cake and eat it. I can sleep and miss the boring bits, but be there to see the exciting bits. And it really works for me. So I'd like to say that I give myself permission to watch as much as I want to, or not. It's my life and my rules. So understand those two known facts. Number one, I know there will be replays the next day if I should fall fast asleep and miss some good things. And then number two, I know the crowd noise will wake me up. And also, I get up a couple of times during the night anyway. It's normal. So I can catch up on what's going on. It's really amazing. So I woke up yesterday, watching tennis. And I gave myself a little time to just catch up on everything that I missed while I fell asleep. And then I knew, I needed to get up and going because I had lots to do. So, but it's all about what if I just don't rush everything? What if I just do what I need to do and not rush everything? And so that's what I did. I got up and I had my usual cup of coffee while I sort of got my mind working. And then I had my second one while it engaged. There's two different things. One is getting my mind working. The second cup is to actually get it to do things. And I was perfectly at peace. And then I got up and got dressed and took my meds and did all those sort of things and, tidied up my bathroom and my bedroom. And then I went, okay, now what's the next thing? And I didn't worry about the broadcasts, all right? The broadcasts were later. I had an appointment before the broadcasts. And so that all I focused on was what do I need to get done for the visit, for the visitors I was going to have. And that's all that I worked on. And it was very peaceful. And I also didn't overdo anything. I just tidied up a bit, but nothing too serious. They're people I know and care about. And well, one was anyway, and the other one I was about to meet. And I didn't think that was going to be somebody who was going to be highly judgmental because I knew her cousin. And so it was fun. It is said that sometimes you forget that you're awesome. So this is your reminder. How many of you really need to hear that every day? That you are awesome, just as you are. And, it doesn't matter whether your house is perfect or, that you've cooked the perfect meal or that you've done whatever. It's about people will love you for who you are if you are genuinely who you are. And just know that that's okay and be at peace with that. I often wonder about that journey that Charlotte took over the years. And it has been years since I've known Charlotte. But, she went from somebody who was so ill at ease to somebody who appears to be at ease and did such a good job. I look at the year that Jeannie has had, where she's had, such sadness, the death of her husband, the death of her much loved dog, and a house caught fire, You name it, Jeannie's been through the ringer and back, and yet still appears to be at peace. Now, I know she has great faith, and I'm certain that helps her a great deal. So know that it is possible to do your way. And that's the important thing, is to find out what brings you peace. And so I also knew that I didn't have to worry too much about getting the broadcast put together, because a tennis match I really wanted to watch was on at 6 o'clock this morning, and I knew I would be up to watch that in some way or the other. And if I hadn't finished getting all the bits of the broadcast put together, I could multitask and finish it while I was watching the tennis. Yeah, that's beautiful. Jeannie's saying that Mary J. Bilge says she has a mantra that she states every day. And she starts her day by saying, I am beautiful and I am good. She focuses in the moment and starts her day with beautiful thoughts about herself. How often do we spend our day spending much more time trying to be good to other people rather than be good to ourselves? And Jeannie is also mentioning here that at first, when she started those wonderful affirmations, she didn't believe them. But just saying them helped her believe them. I'm certain of that. So focus on the present moment and stay in the present moment. So knowing that I could, if necessary, write a broadcast while I watched the tennis early this morning, took all the stress of that away. I didn't have to worry about that. I could just concentrate on getting ready and meeting new people. Now, some of you will know that for over a month now, I've been trying to get hold of a gardener that could come and help me. I've got a very steep back bank behind my property, and it's no longer safe for me to be up there. I've got some hip problems going on, and so my balance is off. And so what I realized was, whether I liked it or not, I was going to need help. And the funny thing was that I contacted all these different gardening companies and none of them replied. And part of me was frustrated. I don't mind telling you. But then there was this other part of me that goes, there must be a good reason for this. You see, I'm a great believer that there are no coincidences. So that one person didn't reply to me, that's maybe just not very good. For 2 or 3 or 4, then there's a reason why nobody's replying to me, and I didn't know what it was yet. And so it was delightful that when I met Kelly through unfortunate circumstances, when I met her again, because I've met her before, and the unfortunate circumstances were that her daddy passed a week ago. When I met her, I know enough about the law of attraction and to be able to let her know that, some of the things I was trying to work on. And one of them was, I need to find a gardener. And she immediately said, oh, I know just the person you need. And I went, really? And she said, yeah, my cousin. I went, okay. And then I smiled because I thought, well, this is why none of the gardeners replied to me, is because they're not the right people. But apparently Kelly's cousin is. And, I thought, well, I'll meet her first. But, obviously this is part of the universe. Jeannie is saying she is very judgmental about herself. Yeah, Jeannie, you and everybody else, right? But she also says to herself that things are not my fault. Right. Things are not your fault. Now, things are just things, right? And how many things do we blame ourselves for, or take on ownership of things that have absolutely nothing to do with us? Yeah, good point. And they just weigh you down. And it's just like, I don't need to be worried about that. I watching the tennis this morning, my favorite player, obviously, um, was not doing very well. Um, he he obviously is suffering from some physical stuff, and he was not up to his usual game. And there's part of my heart that wanted to break. And I went, it's sad, but really don't go there. Don't let your heart get all miserable because of this. He knows the price he pays. And, I was watching him play Novak. And, even Novak had problems. And so, it's just like, but they're not my problems, all right? They're their problems to sort out, not mine. And Jeannie's saying that she reminds herself that things are not her fault when things go wrong. Yeah. Always remember you did your best. Yeah, sometimes things go wrong because we didn't know as enough at the time, but you will know better next time. Nothing ever happened in the past. It happened in the now. Nothing ever happened in the future. It will happen in the now. So no point in worrying about things that could or could not go wrong tomorrow. Right? Let's just concentrate on having a great day today. And when you can do that, life is so much lighter. Now, the other thing is that Kelly's cousin has a very unusual name, unusual to me anyway, which is Seora. And that is spelled Ceora. And obviously Irish name. And I spent some time trying to get the right pronunciation of that. Luckily, we have Google, so we can find that out. But I noticed that there were different pronunciations of it as well. So I realized the only person who really knew how she wanted it pronounced would be Seora herself. But that's not a name. How many of you have heard of that name? And it was like, when I came here, I met my neighbor's daughter, and her name is Shauna, but it's actually spelled Seanna, not Shauna or any of the other spellings that I know, but Seanna, and pronounced Shauna. So, everybody has their name, and the Irish certainly have some interesting names. There's no doubt about that. But it was just so wonderful to know that they were coming at 2:00 my time. I don't do mornings. And so I had time to sit and enjoy my coffee and just relax and do the things I needed to do. And I even had time to have something to eat, although I don't normally eat until about 3 or so. I realized that because I was having visitors that I wouldn't have time to eat. And so it'd be a good idea to eat beforehand. And then they arrived. And they came, first of all, in a kick-ass truck. I want to tell you, did my little eyes just go like one-armed bandits when I saw the truck? I've got a big Jeep. I've got a V8 Jeep with all the bells and whistles, and it's a big thing. But this truck made my Jeep look like a tinker toy. And it was parked right up behind it, and it looked like it could gobble up my Jeep and spit out the bits. You know what I mean? Beautiful car, really beautiful. And that's the first thing that struck me was, well, I know a lot about the person just by seeing the truck. And they came, the two of them, laden with presents, plants that they had removed from Daddy's place that they knew that I would appreciate. And it was just so kind of them. And what made me really chuckle was they bought things that fitted in with what I already had, pansies. And, it was just like, how kind of them that they bought all these things. And then they also bought a complete container with herbs in it. And in order not to waste a lot of time, I took that and put it down on the deck where I was about to sit. And so it was right next to me. And I cannot tell you how many times during the time that we were chatting, the absolute amazing aroma of the mint or the lemon balm, just wafted across. And I thought about that and thought, two things. Number one, plants are peaceful. All right? Know which plants you love because they are peaceful. And make sure you surround yourself with plants that you love. And secondly, know that aromas are peaceful. And some of you may choose to have things like incense or diffusers in your home. But there is no doubt in my mind that aromas are peaceful. I try to make sure that I have containers through my house where, as I pass by, I will get a different aroma. In one room, when I walk past it, I'll get an aroma of orange, or in the next one, I will get an aroma of rose. All right. But I try to do that because it's amazing what it does when it wakens up that part of your brain. And it's just like, oh, I'm in the orange room. But I thought about it. Was it a coincidence that Kelly's daddy liked the same flowers as I did? That he loved pansies and violas and those beautiful colors. And I wasn't really surprised. Or that he loved herbs, as I do. So it was just so angelic almost. You know what I mean? It was just like I wanted to be surprised, but I wasn't. But what really surprised me was that Kelly so thoughtfully brought me a picture of her mummy and daddy, both of whom passed this year already. And I thought, what an incredibly kind gift. And because she knew I cared greatly about them both, and she brought me a picture of them both. And that really touched my soul. And I felt the love in that. And in that moment, I felt great peace as well. So, how many of you find that aromas bring you peace? And if so, which ones? For me, I know that just aroma of coffee first thing in the morning is part of my day. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, I wondered what happened to his plants, and and happy you got them. Yeah, I said to Kelly, I'll do everything in my power to keep his indoor plants and his outdoor plants alive. But I take them knowing that I am a human being, and I will try not to overlove them and and do too much. But it is just I just loved it, the whole thing. I just loved the whole idea of it, and for some reason just that whole planter full of herbs just really touched my soul as well. So, how do you like to get those senses going? That olfactory senses going? And to me, I think I start every day with that incredible smell of coffee, and that just somehow, whenever I smell coffee, that's like all is well with the world. I still have coffee. And I have to laugh because above my cupboards here, whenever coffee goes on sale, because we know that it's an exorbitant price, I buy coffee. And I've got coffee there from March or February even, all right, lined up so that, I can take them in order. But, it is amazing how that is, I don't consider coffee to be a luxury. I consider it to be a vital part of my wake up routine. So it was a great meeting. We spent about 2 hours together. And we did so many things in that 2 hours. We obviously talked about Kelly's daddy and the flowers and the herbs and everything else. And we got caught up on how she's doing with packing up his house. And it looks like she will be finished and be on her way back home by the end of the weekend, which is amazing. And, it was sad. And then she was saying that she and Eric, you remember I met Eric last week, were due to go away for a couple of days. But of course, this had thrown the kibosh on it all. And I said to her, it would be a really good thing for you to still take the couple of days, because you need a couple of days to unwind from this incredibly stressful week that you've had, and all the documents and all the things that you've had to get organized and do correctly. I think the two of you deserve some time away from everything. And she was saying, yes, but I've been away from my business. You know, she runs a one person business. You know, she runs her own business. She's an entrepreneur. And she said, I've been away from it for a week, and I really need to get back to it. And I said, you know, think about it this way. You've been away for a week, another couple of days is just going to be that, and everybody will understand. And those that don't probably don't deserve to be your clients anyway. And so we spent some time on that. And then we spent some time talking about the garden, obviously. And what I decided was that seeing as Ciora was such a talented person, not only did gardening, but construction and all sorts of things, I went, okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep telling you what my dream is. And, you know, you can let me know how you can help me create my dream within my budget. You know, made sure that she knew I had a budget. And one of the things that, you know, is interesting, that big bank that I've got is inclined to slip every year slightly, which means that the staircase, the steps that I have going up also start to shift every year. And what Ciora said was, what if we put up a metal stringer? And, you know, in other words, that she puts up a metal staircase that is firmly attached to the top. Then if the ground underneath shifts, doesn't matter, the metal won't shift. Now, I thought that was brilliant. And she's, you know, and she said, and then, you know, the planks will last longer, and, you know, because they'll be off the, you know, all sorts of good reasons for it. And I went, that is really smart. And then I said, yes. And then also, let's put up 2 different handrails so that I can, you know, have handrails all the way if I need it. All right, Jeannie's saying, a huge branch fell from a tree in my backyard several months ago. I had someone coming next week to give me a price for removal. Yes, you know, we don't want to spend the money, but it's really important that we do. I had a big branch fall as well, Jeannie, over the winter. And luckily, it was one time when I was able to get hold of Doug, and he very kindly cut it up for me. And then, you know, I've systematically been getting rid of the wood. And now I'm down to the smaller bits of wood, and they're going to go to a friend of mine who goes camping every summer, because all that wood's been in my shed and it's dry now, so they can take it camping with them. So, but yes, Jeannie, it's difficult, right? When we've always either been able to do it ourselves, or we had somebody in our life that did these sort of things for us, and now we don't. And so life needs to change. And one of the things is, you know, some of you will say, well, it's okay for you if you've got the money. Well, I don't. I'm on a fixed budget. So now it's a case of, I know how much it's going to cost me. Now, how can I adjust my personal budget to pay for that? And that is, to me, the more important thing. The other thing is that I have my dream list, but I'm going to have it in priorities. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, you know, to get that branch cut up needs a big chainsaw, one that the boys are afraid to use. And I quite agree. If it requires that sort of a chainsaw, you know, better have somebody who's a professional at doing that. Good for you. Very good idea. So now I also bought myself the peace of mind of not having to nag anybody to come help me. All right. Now, if I know that I've got Ciora coming twice a month for an afternoon, where she can do, you know, at the moment she can do the weed whacking and weeding type stuff, but as it gets hotter and the grass ceases to grow, then I can have her helping me with other stuff. And so systematically, week by week, I will be taking small steps towards my dreams of different things. And I've got enough jobs inside to keep her going during the winter. And I can end up, hopefully by the end of the winter, being pretty well organized the way I want it to be. And also what I said to her is that if every week that she comes to visit me, that I pick a box out of the shed and that we put it on the deck. She can put it on the deck for me. And then while she's doing the weed whacking, I get to sort that box and decide what stays and what goes. And she can take it with her. Or I can put it into the recycling the next week, whatever it requires. But, I think that's a wonderful idea. While she's doing the one job, I will know that Thursday I spend a bit of time taking one step forward. That brings me peace of mind. And as I said, she's so talented, does so many different things that I can take my guilt list of the things that I haven't been able to do because of the fire, because of cancer, because of all sorts of things, and slowly start working towards getting them done. And I will just have a mammoth list that goes, these are the things I would like to get done, and I will do them in order of priority for me. And I'm so looking forward to getting my laundry room painted. When I had the fire, they painted every room in the house, and for some reason, they didn't want to paint the laundry room. The cupboards in the laundry room are still a color that I don't need. And so it's just quite exciting to me, quite honestly. Yes, Jeannie's saying that she just had a house cleaner to give her 2 hours to help in my garage, where she also needs help. Yeah, you see, it's like, but what I realized is that it's not cheap, but it's also in a way not expensive, because investing in that brings you peace of mind. Am I right, Jeannie? Because, it's something that's frustrating for you. So even if, you're paying for it, it brings you peace of mind. And it's quite honestly better for your body than frustration, is how I look at it. So that I love the truck big time, but I love the person even more, because she was full of anomalies. She was full of, sort of like opposites, the yin and the yang. Here she was, and she obviously was a fairly strong-looking person, and and she fitted well with the truck. She wasn't somebody that you mess with. Let's put it that way, any more than you'd want to mess with that truck if you were on the road. And yet, what blew me away was somewhere in the conversation, I found out that her day job, when she's not doing gardens and stuff like that, she actually does hair. She's a hairstylist. Now, if you had asked me to guess 5 possible other occupations that she had, hairstylist would not have been on them. And then I'm going, that's useful to know as well. But it was just so cute, because I'm going, no, I would not. And apparently she doesn't even use a weed whacker to do hair. That's pretty good. But that made me love her all the more, if because it was such a contra of my thought. It was what they call a juxtaposition. It just wasn't what I was thinking of at all. And the idea that she would be weed whacking one moment and cutting somebody's hair the next. And I kept wonder how she keeps her nails clean. I'll have to ask her, won't I? I am certain she has a lot to share with me. She strikes me as a lady with a lot of stories in her, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. And she's going to be so comfortable doing all the little things that I need done. And she's got a great sense of humor. And she, I believe, sees me as family. And that's, what more can I ask for, really? All that she can bring. So I am very, very at peace with all of that. And as I said to her, there's part of me, what do you need to know about me? And, I told her what my triggers are. And then I said, just know that even though I'm a Virgo, and I can handle mistakes because I make a lot of them. But, integrity is really high. And I will trust you more than most. And please don't ever give me a reason not to. And so what I really felt was, by the time the meeting was over. There were so many win-wins. I found out she also has clients out my way, which means that she doesn't have to come and drive that big truck just to see me. She can do it sort of piggybacked with somebody else. I also found out that the days that she is available sort of suit my timetable as well. As I said, I'm nearly always here on a Thursday because it's the day I do a lot of prep work for the broadcasts. And I have a lot of deliveries happen on a Thursday because I know I'm going to be here. So I like the way it sort of became a win-win. And I am not sure why else I have to meet Ciora, but I have a definite feeling there's more to our relationship than meets the eye. So that'll be interesting to find out. And I was so pleased when she said I could talk about meeting her. And I can assure you, you will be hearing a lot more about what she does to assist me. So you understand that when you first looked at the truck, it was fearful. Except I love big trucks. And then when I first looked at the lady, she would have been fearful. Except I knew she was a kind and generous person because I knew that from her cousin. So and then I knew she had a sense of humor. All the things that I really wanted. And more than that, she was going to treat me like family. How kind. And so, yes, it was very selfish when I twigged the fact that she also cuts hair. And I'm going, that would be nice just to give myself a haircut, one that I haven't done myself. Um, so, I'm quite looking forward to that. So I have a feeling we have a lot to learn together. And that's going to be such fun to find out. And I also showed her the back room, which has been my storage locker. And I said, my dream here, first of all, showed her the bank. My dream was to be able to actually get up on that bank and be safe. And then she immediately came up with an answer, which blew my mind. And then I said, okay, and on my deck, my dream is to create a potting area at the back here. And I need to take all what's here out and then create this really nice potting shed on the back end of my deck. And that definitely wasn't a problem for her. And then I said, I showed her my hydroponics, and I said, I actually would like to be able to do my hydroponics in my spare bedroom, not in my spare bathroom. But, but to do that, I would need to build. And, it was just like, no problem. So I'm really looking forward to all that I'm going to achieve. And what I realized was if I get this help and if I can stay mobile, I should be able to stay here for another 5 years without too much problem. I found out little things. I'm doing little things to make my life easier. I bought one of those expandable hose pipes, that they grow, if you like. When they're empty, they are so light. All right. It's not a big hunking hose pipe. And I've got 100 foot of collapsible hose pipe, which means I can walk to the front and do the front, and then walk to the back and do the back, all with one hose pipe. And what makes it such fun is because it's so easy to move that hose pipe around, because it's so light and flexible, that it takes me half the time to water everything. Just amazing. So again, another thing of I invested a little bit of money, but what I got was a very big return. And I love being curious about people, as you know. I find part of my joy is learning about people. What makes them tick. I want to know, what makes them tick, what makes them do the things they do, and what happened to them that hurt them the way that it did, that sent them on this path, or whatever it is. Because to me, that's how you find out where people's souls are. Not the sort of obvious things that they show you, but where their soul really is. What really touches them. And once you know what that is, then it's so much easier to appreciate them in a way that means a lot to them. And that is really important. So by the time they spent their 2 hours, we had covered a lot of ground. And I had decided that the herb garden was in just the right place. It needed to stay exactly where it was because it was just the right place for me to go out and have a cup of coffee and smell those incredible smells. And then in the winter, I will bring it and put it into my greenhouse window where all those smells can permeate my house. So I'm very excited about that. Very excited. And it was a real catch-22 because it's really been hot here. I don't know how, Jeannie, has it been hot in your area as well? And so but we've also, as you probably heard, have some really nasty forest fires going on in Canada, and it's right across Canada. And so there was a smoke advisory that was out, an air quality. So the thing was, you can either come in and be too hot, or we can stay out on the deck and just be aware that there is an air advisory. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. Oh, interesting. Ginny's reminding me that the other benefit of having herbs on your patio is that some of them ward off mosquitoes and other bugs. That's really interesting, Jeannie. That's really good to know. So I will look into that and see which ones. Ginny's saying it's raining there. Funny you should say that. Today is raining here as well, which I'm really happy about because it will clean the air. That's nature's way of cleaning the air. And I don't know about you, I love this time of year because of all the fruit that is at a decent price. And for breakfast yesterday, when I looked at what do I want to eat, I started off eating a bowl of melon. I had cantaloupe and watermelon. And it was just so refreshing and so nice to be able to eat that while I watched the tennis. And, that was what I had to eat before they arrived. And by the time they had gone, I could think about the next thing I wanted to eat. And it didn't, I didn't feel hungry while they were here. I was, just so in the moment of enjoying their company. But then I noticed after they'd gone, I was tired. And I wasn't surprised. And then part of my mind wanted to say, but you need to get on with the broadcast. I'm going, no, my body's telling me what I need to do is rest. And so that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did. I literally lay down on my couch and I slept for a couple of hours and I felt so much better after that. And I didn't even start writing down the notes and stuff for this broadcast until about 9:00 last night. And even then I wasn't stressed because I knew if I didn't finish it before I went to bed that I would be up early and I could multitask it while I watched the tennis this morning. But because I'm into the habit now of binge watching and writing stuff at the same time, that by the time I went to bed, I had most of this put together. The bottom line of all of this is that I spent a month of frustration trying to get somebody here to help me. And it looked like I wasn't getting anywhere. But the truth is, when you think about it, the truth is I ended up with more than I bargained for. I ended up with more than a gardener. I ended up with a handyman person. I ended up with somebody that gave me a wonderful rate. I ended up with somebody that obviously cares about me as a human being. And what I said was that is more important to me than a lot of other things. So I said, expect to get bonuses because that will make me feel better. I will pay you the rate that you asked for, but, I know that it's a good rate and therefore you will get bonuses. So I hope that you can feel the peace that I feel. Jeannie is adding that rosemary wards off mosquitoes and flies. And that reminds me, Jeannie, that I've got rosemary in my garden, but I don't have it in my house. and it would be a good idea to have it in my house as well. So I'm going to cut off a little bit and root it and add it to that planter, one or two in my planter, and then have a couple in the house. I always keep rosemary uh, in my oils. What about you guys? That's a sprig of rosemary from my garden. Um, and I've got a really nice big rosemary plant outside. So that's what I would do. Thank you for reminding me. It's such a good idea. I just love the smell of rosemary. Just great. So when you look at your life, think about how well do you plan for peace of mind? I know you plan to be efficient, and I know you plan to get things done, and I know you plan so many things, but do you understand that planning your peace of mind is a really important component? And that is why when I sit down to plan a week, I ask myself, what will make me feel more relaxed? What needs to happen that will allow me to relax more? And that is quite a different list from the ones that of the things I think I need to get done. What will bring me the most joy? Not, and it amazes me how different that is. The point of power is always in the present moment. And what I want you to remember is that what brings you joy this week might not be what brings you joy next week. And it is really, really important for you to know that keeping on top of that on a daily basis, what will make me feel happy today? And let me make time for that. Not do I have time for it, let me make time for it. And so my wish for you is that you understand that, like the lawn, peace of mind is something you work on. It's a constant work in progress. And life gets in the way. We will have horrible tragedies happen in our lives. We will have frightening health issues happen in our lives. We will have people betray us and let us down. We will have, natural disasters happen, whatever. But, our job more than anything else is to learn, how do I keep balance with all of this going on? And the answer is, you stay in the moment. You deal with what has to be dealt with today. And I found that I now keep a logbook, if you like. I get so many ideas of what needs to be done every day that it was clogging up every system I have. So now what I do is I just put it in the book. And all I'm doing is having this book, and every day I just cross off a little bit more. Because if the thing that I put in the book is too big, then I get to put that into another season. Or I start breaking it down into smaller things that I can keep in the book and try and get sorted bit by bit. But I'm really working on slowing everything down and doing things more slowly. When on Monday I had the task of doing things in my bedroom, it wasn't do it all on Monday. It was like, you've got the week to just go through your bedroom and do the things on this list. And I still have one left to do. There is one corner that I still haven't got to. Jeannie's saying, I'm reaching out to friends I have not seen lately so I can continue the friendship. I did a lot of that this week as well, Jeannie, and you're right. And good for you, because I always think that is a very selfish act in the nicest possible way, right? Because you feel good about the fact that you reached out, but they also get the joy of that. And whether they reach back to you later or not isn't the issue, right? It's a really good thing because it's one of those things that brings us peace of mind. Connection brings us peace of mind. Having people visit you, although it might be stressful at the front end, actually, or nearly always, if you think about it, ends up being a positive experience. And if I hadn't had people to visit me, I wouldn't have talked about the fact I need a gardener, and I wouldn't have had that reaction and found that, oh yeah, we got one in the family. It was like, oh, that's good to hear. And to hear that they considered me part of the family was also so cute, really cute. So yes, a good point to make, Jeannie, that reaching out is part of your peace of mind. And with today's technology, it doesn't take very long. I had the opportunity to have a nice chat with Benji. And what we did was we realized I really I haven't been able to go see him because I haven't got a passport. And so what I said to him, I'm really missing seeing the garden because, at this time of year, we compare our tomato plants a lot. And so we did one call and it was done, and he took the camera out or the phone out, but with the camera in it, and showed me how the tomato plants were doing. And, and I also got to see Isabella and she waved to me, which is, just so cute. So yeah, that connection we can do. I had a connection with my physio person, who was amazed at, the fact that I've done all the exercises she told me to, and that my range of motion continues to be as good as it is. But what she mentioned to me, here's an interesting point. She said, what amazes me is your vertical range of motion. For those of you who don't know, I had a mastectomy on this side back in November. And she said the fact that you can reach up the way that you can with your right hand. And she said, have you been doing that exercise? And I said, actually, no, I haven't. So she said, well, how have you maintained that? And I said, what I do is I put some things that I need every day high up in a cupboard. I've got a cupboard up there and I keep my flour. I have milk powder, oats, stuff like that. The bulk stuff is all high up. And what happens is when I need it, I've got to reach up. But what I said to her, they're in different cupboards. So if it's on the left-hand side, I will reach up with the left-hand side. And if it's on the right-hand side, I will reach up with the right-hand side. So therefore, I know that I'm doing those exercises every day. And she said, that's incredibly clever. She seemed to be a bit surprised. But you understand, it's like work things into your life so you don't have to do the exercises. I try to bring the exercises into my way of life. I wonder if that makes sense. And therefore, that brings me peace of mind. So there we have it. Working on your peace of mind is your number one job every day. The rest of it is all other stuff. If you want to stay healthy, if you want to eat better, if you want to do all those things, all right, it requires that you stay in the moment. Because if you are in the moment, you're not going to binge eat. If you stay in the moment, you're not going to crave sugar as much. If you stay in the moment, you're going to take the time to actually prepare a proper meal as opposed to just grab something. Think about that. This is DearMamaSal saying, we'll see you tonight. And tonight, we're going to have some fun. Tonight, I'm going to knock another thing off my bucket list, which is I've always wanted to make wax wraps. Do you know what I mean? Instead of using single-use plastic, that you have material that is infused with wax so that it can bend and act as cling wrap sort of thing. And so I've always wanted to do that, and tonight I'm going to do it. And also I'm going to be doing a pasta that can cook while we are making the wax wraps. This is DearMamaSal saying, Jeannie, thank you so much for being here and helping us. I really appreciate it. And we will see you all tonight when we get creative. Thanks, everybody. And bye-bye for now. Stay in the moment.